Welcome back to another All Things Hoop podcast. I'm Luke, and as always, joined by my co-host Al.
Today we will be giving a recap of the first round in the NBA playoffs in addition to our second round predictions. Later, we will be joined by special guest Carter Green.
Okay, starting it off with the Warriors versus Clippers. Here.
The Clippers surprised a lot of people in this first round, taking the Warriors 6 games. I think many people thought this series was going to be a sweep. What do you think of the series?
I did expect the Warriors just to sweep the Clippers. I mean, Clippers, if you look at their team, they do have Lou Williams and Patrick Beverley, but those are not really two players you see carrying this Clippers team past this Warriors team.
I think that's good news for the Clippers is watching Lou Will and Pat Beverley do what they did in the playoffs. They had a great season with the Clippers this year, and I'm excited to watch them next year as well.
Better than most people expected.
Another big thing of this series was Kevin Durant. He dominated. He dropped 51 points in that one game, and he averaged 35 points per game through that whole series.
That's the highest in the playoffs right now. And to me, Steph and Clay, how do you think they played in that series?
See, if I'm a Warriors fan, this is going to kind of scare me a little bit because, yes, KD's playing really well, but Steph and Clay really didn't have that great a performance against the Clippers. So they need to step it up, especially in these later rounds and coming into the finals. If they make it there, they're going to have to step it up.
Okay, here. So next series was the Bucks versus Pistons. Obviously here the Bucks sweep the Pistons.
Of course, the Pistons playing without injured Blake Griffin for the first 2 games. And when Blake was with the Pistons, he averaged about 25 points per game, 6 rebounds per game, and 6 assists per game. That's pretty good numbers for those 2 games he played.
Even if Blake played all 4 games, I do still think the Bucks would have swept them. I don't think he would have made that big a difference where they would have beat them.
Right, and in this series, as expected by many people, this is a sweep.
You have an MVP on your team, or probably soon to be MVP on your team.
So the next series here, also in the East, is the Celtics versus the Pacers. The Celtics also sweep the Pacers 4-0.
Okay, the Celtics look really, really good in that series. They played a lot better than most people expected them because of the young players they have.
And Kyrie averaging right around 23 points per game, 8 assists per game, and 5 rebounds per game.
If Kyrie can keep up this level of play, the Celtics might be a scary team.
That's exactly the type of play you want to see from Kyrie, your team leader, in that first round. You want to see Kyrie leading this young core. You want to see him pushing the young core to do better.
Yep. Okay, here. So, Thunder versus Blazers. Blazers win in 5 games.
The biggest thing in this series was the Thunder shooting. They shot horrible throughout this series.
As a team, it was
just awful. And you look at the other side of the ball, the Blazers played really well. They had Damian Lillard, who went 5 for 5 on shots 30 feet or longer. I don't know if you guys know how long 30 feet is. That is a long, long ways. He averaged 33 points per game, 4.5 rebounds, 6 assists, and 2.5 steals per game.
Also, CJ McCollum, he played pretty good this series, so that also helps him.
And the Blazers, without their star big man, Yusuf Nurkic, played excellent, especially down low with Kanter running the 5.
Okay, so as we all know, Russell Westbrook, he didn't have that great a series here. He shot pretty bad. He needs to stay poised when he's on the floor. His biggest problem is probably his shot selection here.
I'd definitely say it's either shot selection or his temperament. When he gets out there, he gets frustrated. You can tell. He just looks out of it. He can't shoot well. He can't do anything well when he's angry or frustrated like that. He needs to calm down, stay poised, and just take good shots.
Yep. Okay. Westbrook is only 4-11 in playoff games since Kevin Durant has left OKC.
I don't think this should surprise many people.
No, you have KD, one of the best players in the world.
To me, the best player in the league right now. He leaves a team. I don't expect the team that he left to do very well.
Yeah.
What are you supposed to do when you're an organization? Your best player in the league leaves you. Nothing surprises me here.
No. Okay, so Nuggets versus Spurs. This was the only series to go to 7 games, and obviously the Nuggets came out on top.
Yeah, and this is an interesting series because this is probably one of the least scary 2 seeds we have seen in a while.
Yeah.
This Nuggets team, I had way higher expectations coming into the season.
Winning maybe 5,
than they
6
performed.
games, not 7 though.
I did not think the Spurs were going to be able to take them 7 games.
Oh, no, not at all.
And even with Jokic dropping 43 points in Game 6, they still lost, and that's kind of scary to me. To have your star player drop 43 points and you still lose a game.
Yeah, especially since they're moving on and playing a much better team than the Spurs. Yeah, they might have to figure something out.
Okay, so on to the next series in the West, Rockets versus Jazz. Rockets win 5 games, 4-1.
All right, James Harden had a great series there. He averaged just under 28 points per game, 7 rebounds per game, and 8 assists per game, along with almost 2.5 steals per game.
Yeah, James Harden continuing his play at MVP level.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't surprise me much. I'm surprised that the Jazz took one out.
Yeah.
I thought the Rockets would get a sweep here. But Clint Capella, the Rockets center, has been stepping it up and playing very well in that first round. He averaged a double-double with 10 points per game and 10 rebounds per game.
Yep. Okay, the biggest thing that stand out was the Jazz chose to defend Harden. Let him drive into Gobert. They're almost guarding Harden like they're playing behind him.
You see clips of Ricky Rubio guarding behind Harden. And as an NBA fan or anyone that's interested in basketball, you see that you're like, what is he doing? You never guard it behind a player. You stay in front of the player. You don't let him get to the hoop. They chose the let him drive in. They got Rudy Gobert, one of the best defending big man in the
Shot
league.
blockers, yeah.
And it didn't work out for the Jazz. He was getting foul calls. He was getting layups. He was getting easy floaters. He dribble, stop, pull up in the mid range. It was a horrible choice to defend him like that.
Yeah. Okay, here the next series is the 76ers versus the Nets. The Sixers win the series 4-1.
See, I thought this would be one of those games that goes 7 series, especially how hot the Nets were coming out.
D'Angelo Russell.
I thought the Nets were going to be able to challenge the Sixers a little bit more, but as you see, Sixers just have too much star power on their team.
So there was a huge fight between them in one of the games here, and 2 players got ejected.
I believe it was Dudley and Jimmy Butler, right?
Yep.
See, I like this whole Dudley versus the Sixers thing. I thought that rivalry, if you call it, was interesting. It was probably the most interesting thing so far in the playoffs to me.
It was pretty funny. Okay, here, so Embiid was questionable to play many games throughout that series.
Yeah, he was. Leading up to Game 1, they said that 30 minutes before game time, they still didn't even know if he was going to play. He did end up playing every single game, and he looked fine out there.
Yep. But you got to worry, though, if you're a Sixers fan.
Mm-hmm.
If this keeps going on, especially with better teams.
Okay, so also in the East, we have the Raptors versus the Magic. Raptors winning 5 games after the Magic take that buzzer beater Game 1
DJ
winner.
Augustine.
Yep.
Okay, here. So another crazy thing, Kyle Lowry scored 0 points in Game 1.
And that's part of the reason that the Magic took Game 1. When I first saw Game 1, I was like, oh, the Magic might compete with the Raptors here, but then you look at the stats and you see, they won off a buzzer beater.
Yeah.
Kyle Lowry had 0 points, which is a fluke almost. And then you see the rest of the series, they win the next 4.
Yep. Kawhi Leonard had a great show of offense and defense throughout the series.
Also, Pascal Siakam was playing excellent as well. Him and Kawhi are just a great duo out there on the court.
Mm-hmm. So on to some other NBA news here over the past 2 weeks. First one being David Griffin, the Pelicans GM, believes he can get Anthony Davis to stay.
See, I don't know if this is just high hopes from David Griffin, because usually when you have a star player that wants to get traded from the team, they usually don't re-sign with that same team that they're requested to trade from. So I don't know how true this statement is from David Griffin.
I don't know, maybe he just said that to get some drama going, but, as we all saw here at the end of the season here, we all know Anthony Davis, he had no intention of staying at all.
Some other news is LeBron James passes Curry as the best-selling NBA jersey this season.
To me, I think it's just because him and the Lakers, new team, new jersey, all that, but obviously Steph's going to be up there as well.
Yeah, and this is just kind of a popularity thing. Whoever the most popular player is usually sells the most jerseys, and it's no surprise that it's LeBron James this year, especially after signing with the Lakers.
All right, here. So Vince Carter is going to be returning for another season.
And I saw an interesting take from Gilbert Arenas. He said that Vince should not be playing anymore in the NBA. He should retire and to let these young guys get a chance at the league. That every year that Vince plays is another year that he crushes the dreams of one young player. And to be honest, Gilbert Arenas needs to shut up.
He has no place.
That take is horrible.
No place. Insane.
If you can't outplay 40-year-old Vince Carter, then do you deserve to be in the league?
You don't deserve. You don't deserve to have a spot on it.
If you're not better than the player you're gonna take a spot from, why would you take his spot?
Nope.
If Vince is better, then he deserves to play. If you're not better, then you're not on the team.
They would probably tell Vince too if there's a better player. They would probably tell Vince that.
I think that no organization would have a problem with telling Vince, "Hey,
we have this really
great young player that we want to suit up. Is it all right if we drop you to the G League or whatever? Cut you. I don't think that any organization is gonna keep Vince just for his name."
So other news here is Celtics legend and Hall of Famer John Havlicek passes away. He had 8 championships with the Celtics team.
We just wanted to pay our respects on this show to one of the greatest to ever do it.
Yep.
On to our second round predictions here. Let's start off with the 76ers versus the Raptors.
So this series is tied 1-1. Raptors winning game 1 and 76ers taking game 2. 76ers won game 2 at Toronto, which really surprised me.
I think this is going to be a great series, continuing out. Going into the series, I thought the Raptors were going to handle business, take care of this young Sixers team. But we've seen now that the Sixers are ready to compete. They're ready this year.
Obviously, for the Sixers, Jimmy Butler with a huge game in Game 2, coming off an awful performance of Game 1.
Definitely the reason that they edged that game over the Raptors was Jimmy Butler's performance.
Mm-hmm. So, here, what do you have for a prediction for this round?
I think it's going to go 7 games, but I have the Raptors edging over the Sixers in Game 7.
Okay, to me, I think it'll also go 7 games, but I have the Sixers over the Raptors.
Okay, so now on to the Celtics versus Bucks. The series so far is tied 1-1. What are your thoughts on this series?
Celtics, they came out and surprised me in Game 1. I expected the Bucks just to take it, but they came out, handled business, got things done.
Right, but then you see Game 2, the Bucks kind of get back into the groove, and they just demolished the Celtics in Game 2.
Win by almost 20 points.
Mm-hmm.
Giannis looking like himself again after that bad performance in Game 1.
I think the Bucks are going to continue this level of play, and they're going. I think they're going to win in 6 games.
Okay, I think the Celtics will surprise everybody and win in 7 games. Okay, here, so the Rockets and Warriors.
Right now, the Warriors are leading 2-0 over the Rockets, and the biggest thing from this series is the controversial calls, the foul calls that aren't being there. Very minimum calls are given to the Rockets in this series.
Especially the closeouts from Klay Thompson on James Harden.
These are fouls. If you've seen them, you see Klay Thompson close out onto James Harden, and he steps underneath of James Harden's landing space. In the NBA rules, if a player takes up the landing space of the shooter, goes underneath the shooter's landing space, that's a foul. That is NBA rule. That is a foul.
This rule obviously put in place after the Zaza Pachulia and Kawhi incident.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Everyone went nuts. Everyone was freaking out when Zaza did this to Kawhi. But now you see the Warriors doing it to James Harden, and no one's really complaining about it.
Okay, but I saw this thing the other day, though. James Harden, when he's guarded by a defender on a three-pointer, he will kick his feet towards them.
Yeah, but that's just natural. If everyone knows that when you're open, you shoot differently than when you're contested. When you're contested, you have to get a ball up quick. You have to get extra arc on the ball. You have to move differently than when you're open. When you're open, you don't have to kick your legs out as far. Maybe when he's contested, he feels when he gets more power when he kicks his legs out a little more. I think that take is bogus.
Okay. Right here. So on to the next series, Blazers versus Nuggets.
So far, the Nuggets leading 1-0. Have only played 1 game.
They surprised me, though. I did not expect them to win at all.
Definitely. After that first series, they went 7 games with the Spurs. I did not think the Nuggets were going to be able to keep up with this Blazers team that's red hot after that Thunder series.
Especially like Damian Lillard. If he plays the way he did in that first round series, I do expect the Blazers to win.
That's the biggest shock to me is how well he played in the first series versus how little he's shown up in this series here.
On to our hot takes now. What is yours?
Well, for me, my hot take is Kawhi and the Raptors will make the finals this year, and they will dethrone the Warriors, with Kawhi winning finals MVP. The Raptors have played exceptional. You have Kawhi Leonard, who's playing very well, and you also have young players like Pascal Siakam, who's playing very well for the Raptors. And the biggest key to the Raptors making the NBA Finals and beating the Warriors is the play of Kyle Lowry.
Yeah.
If he can step up and play and score the ball, I think they can easily make it to the finals and get past the Warriors.
All right, so my hot take is I have the Nuggets will win everything this year. They will beat the Warriors in the Western Conference rounds and go into the finals and play. I mean, I don't know who will come out of the East yet, but I do see the Nuggets maybe dethrowing the Warriors, but being NBA champions as well.
I don't know if the Nuggets have it to take on the Warriors yet. I mean, they have big man Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray, Gary Harris, some of those young players, but I don't know if they're quite ready, is the word I'd use. I don't know if they're ready enough to take on that star-studded of a team.
Okay.
So who are your most surprising players so far? They can be either surprisingly bad or surprisingly good.
So I chose Russell Westbrook as surprisingly bad. He may have averaged 22 points per game, but through the whole series he only shot 36% and 32% from the three.
Right, this is not like the Russ you usually see.
In the playoffs especially.
Usually Russ shoots at least 40 sometimes 50%
45,
from the
yeah.
field. I mean, this series, he just looked out of it. It was weird to see Russ like this.
It was.
For the most surprising player that I chose Clint Capella of the Houston Rockets. Like I said earlier, he averaged a double-double, and he kept Gobert in check defensively. He played very well in that first series.
I mean, it's a quiet double-double too, because nobody's really saying anything about it.
Everyone focuses on James Harden and Chris Paul. Then you have Clint Capella just sitting there in the paint doing his thing,
Getting his job done.
So now we're going to be talking about some free agents coming into this upcoming offseason.
Obviously, the first one being Kevin Durant. Probably the biggest free agent we'll have this summer.
Oh, definitely. He's on a player option, so he can either re-sign with the Warriors or he can look around, see what's on the market.
I mean, to me, I do expect him to leave, and for me, I think he will go to New York.
Do you think he'll leave if he doesn't win a championship?
Yes.
Do you think he'll leave if he does win a championship?
Yes, I think he's leaving either way, win or lose.
See, if he loses this year, I don't believe he will leave. But if he wins another championship, this will be his third championship, and I believe that he'll look to lead his own team to the finals.
Where do you think he'll go?
I can either see him going to New York Knicks, maybe even a New York, as in Brooklyn, the Nets. I don't know, somewhere where he can lead his own team.
Okay, so the second free agent here being Kawhi Leonard, another big one.
Probably the biggest name last offseason when he got traded to the Raptors. Mm-hmm. Everyone thought he was only gonna be a rental for 1 year. And you see he's playing very well for the Raptors, and the Raptors team doing very well with him. I don't think he's going to leave. I think he will stay with this Raptors team.
I think it depends on how far they go in the playoffs. And if they go to the finals and maybe don't win, maybe he'll stay. But I say if they don't make it to the finals, he's leaving for sure.
I remember everyone was talking about how he wants to go to LA. He even admitted that he wants to go to LA, but he doesn't want to play with LeBron. He said that as well. So that leaves one team in LA that doesn't have LeBron, the Los Angeles Clippers. So do you think he's going to go to the Clippers, or do you think he's going to stay in Toronto?
I don't know. I think maybe his mind has changed over this year here. Maybe he doesn't want LA, but he for sure wants a team by himself. He wants to be that guy.
I definitely agree. And Kawhi's one of those guys that you don't know what he's thinking, Mm-hmm. He's one of those quiet guys. You never know what Kawhi's thinking.
Yep. Okay, the third one here is Kyrie Irving. Kyrie is also on a player option. And to me, I do see Kyrie Irving leaving.
Especially after he had that whole deal with the young players on the team. He had to call LeBron up about his leadership and stuff. I don't think Kyrie wants that. I think Kyrie wants to be with another superstar that, him and the other superstar can share the responsibility of the team with. It's not just all on Kyrie.
I mean, there's been reports going around that Kyrie and KD will team up somewhere.
A lot of reports saying that they'll go to the Knicks. I don't know. I think Kyrie's gone. I don't think he's going to stay with the Celtics, especially if they lose this round against the Bucks.
Yep. Okay, here, the next one is Klay Thompson. I mean, he's unrestricted free agent. and him, one of the best shooters in the league.
I think definitely this depends on Kevin Durant's decision.
Yep.
If Kevin Durant's gone,
Clay's probably to me stays.
I think Clay will stay as well. If Kevin
Yep.
Durant's gone, then Clay's gonna stay because then he can get a big paycheck
Yep.
because Golden State's gonna have all his cap space. They
Yep.
can sign Klay Thompson to do a big contract. But if Kevin Durant stays, Klay Thompson might think he's gonna get out. He might get his cash somewhere. He might leave.
There's been stuff going around saying Clay wants to maybe join LeBron in LA.
I don't know how I feel about that. I'd like to see Klay go to a Thunder team. That'd be interesting to see, especially because the Thunder, they really need shooting. If, they get another shooter on their squad, Thunder could be the championship team.
I think Clay's going to have to go to a team that already has a superstar. Clay to me is just not a guy who can lead a team to a championship.
Definitely, Clay's one of the secondary and third players on the team. He's not the star player on the team. He's the guy that sits in the corner, shoots,
does his job.
He'll
get
go
it
off
done.
for 60 points one night out of the season.
Okay, here next one is Jimmy Butler. Jimmy is on a player option
with the 76ers, of course.
Yep.
I think Jimmy will stay, especially how well the Sixers did this year. I didn't think the Sixers were going to do as well as they did, and I can see Jimmy staying. I think he really bonds with these guys in Philadelphia.
I also see Jimmy staying. I mean, it's a lot different situation than it was in Minnesota. Down in Philly here, he has people who want to win with him, who wants to win as bad as him, unlike up there.
So the next player we have on our list is Kemba Walker. He's an unrestricted free agent of the Charlotte Hornets.
I do see Kemba leaving, going to something bigger and better.
I believe Kemba put out a tweet or a quote or something out there about how Charlotte fans were wanting him to leave and wanting him to get away. And Kemba said, "You're going to be screwed either way." That's what he told the fans. Because whether he stays with Charlotte, they're going to have to sign him to a max deal. They're going to sign him to a $224 million deal. That's going to take away all the Hornets cap space. If he leaves, Charlotte's done. They have no superstar on their team. They're not going to make the playoffs. They're going to be tanking. So either way, the Hornets are in a really bad spot.
I mean, if I was Kemba, I'd just do what's best for me. Would I win?
Definitely. After being loyal to that organization so long, and you see how the league's changed nowadays. Teams aren't loyal to the players, so why should players be loyal to the teams?
Yep.
I would like to see Kemba get out of there and win a championship.
Win a championship. Go get all the money you can.
7th, we have Kristaps Porzingis of the Dallas Mavericks. He didn't play all year. It'd be interesting to see what his decision is come off season.
I think teams are going to be skeptical about this one, especially coming off his injury. So I don't know if teams will offer him those huge contracts or not.
I don't know if Kristaps is going to stay or leave because, he hasn't had the opportunity to play with this Dallas Mavericks team. He doesn't know what it's like, so it's kind of a throw-up here. You don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah. Okay, here the next one is Tobias Harris of the 76ers. Tobias Harris, I mean, he's a pretty good player.
Oh, definitely. He played very well for the Clippers in this first half of the season. Then he gets traded to the Sixers about midway
Still
through the
playing
season.
really well.
Still playing great. And I think this decision, him and Jimmy's decision go hand in hand. If Tobias leaves, I think Jimmy might be more influenced to leave. Same thing here. If Jimmy leaves, Tobias is going to be
Not
very
keeping the
influenced
same
to leave.
core together.
Right. So 9th on our list, we have Chris Middleton of the Milwaukee Bucks. He's on a player option.
Okay, so I think this all decides on which offers him the most money. To me, I think he will leave if he gets the right amount of money.
I think to me, it depends on how well the Bucks do. If the Bucks make the finals or even the Eastern Conference Finals, I think Chris Middleton's going to sign back for another year, keep playing with Giannis. Giannis is only going to get better from here. And I think Chris Middleton's going to want to stay part of that team.
But he's having a career year this year. So, I mean, teams are going to be offering him the huge contracts.
So last on our list, we have Al Horford from the Boston Celtics.
I see Al Horford just staying in Boston. I mean, Al Horford's not a big drama guy leaving and all that, going to new places. But I just see him staying.
I can see Al Horford finishing out his career in the Celtics uniform.
Maybe even going back to the Hawks where he was really, really good.
So I was thinking about some of the most impressive player NBA records in the playoffs, and I was wondering, what's your most impressive?
Mine is probably when Michael Jordan dropped 63 on the Celtics. When that Celtics team had Larry Bird, I mean, that was probably one of the best years the Celtics ever had. That was Larry Bird years, but Michael Jordan being a young player coming into the league and dropping 63 points in the playoffs.
My most impressive stat from the playoffs would be Klay Thompson's 11 threes in the game. That was in 2016 against the Oklahoma City Thunder.
That's when they came back 3-1.
That is the series that they came back 3-1. That was Game 6 of that series, and he's one of the big reasons why they ended up winning that series. And 11 threes in a game is pretty impressive, especially come playoff time.
Oh my God! I mean, especially for Klay Thompson though. I mean, it's something that I do see him doing, especially him and Steph.
Right.
But to actually do it though, that's pretty impressive. So I was thinking about this. If you had to make a starting five with players in the playoffs right now, what do you think yours would be?
For my guards, I'd run Steph Curry and Damian Lillard.
Okay.
And then for my forwards, I would have Kevin Durant and Kawhi Leonard. And then my big man down low would be Nikola Jokic. I like this team because you got two deep range deadeyes with Damian Lillard and Steph Curry running the guard. Either one of them can run point. They can also dish the ball, find people out. And you have Kevin Durant and Kawhi Leonard running forwards, both great defenders, and both can score the ball very well without having to have it in their hands the whole time. And you have Jokic, who's a great passing big man, and he just facilitates very well.
I see you didn't pick Embiid. Why?
See, I already have a lot of scoring options on my team. I don't need someone that has that dominant of a presence. So I went with Nikola Jokic. He's a better passer and he's a better facilitator. So if this was my team, I'd want him to get the ball to my star players, my scorers on the team.
All right.
So who'd your team be?
So for point guard, I picked Kyrie Irving because of his playmaking abilities and his ball handling. Then at the 2, I picked Jimmy Butler being one of the best 2 guards in the league here and being one of the most clutch performers we have right now. And at the 3, I had to go with KD. KD, arguably the best player in the league. Then at 4, I would put Giannis. I mean, we all know Giannis dominant down low and mid range. And at the 5, I picked Embiid, who's also very dominant down low.
I'm interested. You took Giannis over Kawhi.
Yes. I believe Giannis is just the better player right now, and Giannis can do more inside than Kawhi can. Giannis is just more athletic than Kawhi.
So I know I'm throwing you a little bit of a curveball here, but if you had to add 2 bench players to your starting 5 right there, who would you add?
I would add Steph being the first one, obviously being the great shooter he is. He'd be able to move the ball and about do anything on the floor. Then I would add Jokic, being a rebounder, a very tall guy to have obviously grab the rebounds and being another shooter.
For my bench, I'd put Giannis coming off the 6th man. He's a great leader. He could definitely lead your bench in scoring and every asset of the game. And this one's probably a surprise, but I'd choose Klay Thompson coming off my bench. You know, he's a great shooter. He's a great catch and shooter. And he can come out there and give breaks for some guards, you know, but still be able to step up as a role of a starter. And he's also a great defender. Many people overlook his defending ability, and I think he's one of the best two-way players in the league.
Yeah, he's one of the best 2 guards in the league too. So
yep.
Probably behind Jimmy, James Harden, or those 3.
Right, he's right there.
Yeah.
With him. On to our next topic here.
If you can combine any 2 players at the same position, who would they be?
For me, I would choose Russell Westbrook and Stephen Curry. If you combine those 2 players, I think you would have the best player that the league has ever seen and that they will ever see. You have Russ, who's an absolute freak of nature, is extremely explosive and athletic, and you have Steph Curry, who's the greatest shooter of all time. You combine those 2, and that's something you can't stop.
Okay, to me, I said Giannis and Kevin Durant. So if you look at Giannis, his athleticism is unmatched in this league right now. His ability to finish and drive and dunk on people. And if you combine that with KD's scoring ability and handles and his pull-up, his ability to pull up from 30 feet plus, I feel like that player would be the most unstoppable and one of the greatest of all time.
What if you combined Kawhi Leonard with a LeBron James? You could get some of the same results though with that.
But you just don't get I don't think you get the shooting you do with this right here. LeBron, I mean, yeah, he's an okay shooter, but he's not a great shooter like KD is. I mean, same with Kawhi. Kawhi's an okay shooter, but not a great shooter.
So if you combine two okay shooters, doesn't that make a great shooter?
Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. This week's special guest is Carter Green. Carter is a four-sport varsity athlete at Cascade High School. Carter played this year very well. He shot a good 43% from the field and 32% from three, second best on the team. And he was also third on the team in rebounds.
Carter, talk a little bit about your thoughts on the season.
Oh, I thought the season went really well. We had our ups and downs, but in the end, we played for a chance to go to state, so that was a pretty cool experience, and hopefully we'll be back there next year.
Okay. How were you able to step up this year as it being your first year playing, let alone being a starter?
I think my teammates, they helped me out a lot. Coaches, Coach Brindle, just had to listen to what they said. They were really patient with me, and they helped me out a lot throughout the season.
We had Reed on the show last time, and we asked about his favorite game of the year. And do any games stand out to you from this season?
Yeah, I think that Regina game stood out. Harris was hurt, and then we had me and Reed and those guys, they had to play well. They were highly ranked team, 10th maybe, I think.
Yeah.
So coming in there, going to their house, beating them in overtime, that was a cool game.
Okay, here. What are you looking forward to next season as you return to the court?
I just think that it'll be fun next year playing with all my classmates again. This year there's a few more seniors playing, so it was a good experience. But next year I think it should be a lot more fun. There'll be a little more leadership that'll have to step up, but it'll be good.
What are you expecting for next season as a team?
I'm not really sure. I think we can accomplish some nice stuff, like get places, but I think we'll just have to play it by ear and see how it goes, I guess.
Okay. So we also asked Reed this question last time he was on the show. We want to know, what is your favorite Coach Brindle moment of the year?
My favorite moment was halftime of the Regina game. Reed Roush was acting up a little bit on the court, and Brindle came in and let him hear about it, and he said a few things, and everybody started laughing, and it was just pretty funny.
Can you share what Coach Brindle said, or is that some private information?
I don't know. I don't know if he'd like me sharing that on here, so we'll leave it at that.
Okay.
All right. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have with you today. We really appreciate you being on the show.